Welcome to Latte with a Lawyer, a podcast dedicated to bringing you the stories of some of America's most successful lawyers, figuring out what makes them tick, how they creatively solve problems, and how others aspiring to be them can follow in their footsteps.
Okay, folks, welcome to another episode of Latte with a Lawyer. I'm your host, Jonathan Brickman, and this afternoon we have with us Anessa Santos, and her law firm is IntelliLaw. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Jonathan. I'm really excited for our discussion today.
Oh, good. No, excellent. I'm looking forward to it. So to kick off the show, Latte with a Lawyer, what's your morning beverage of choice to get started?
Coffee. It's like blasphemy to have anything else in this country, right?
What, any particular flavor of it, or just whatever you can get?
So I do like a morning blend with almond milk. But if I'm at Starbucks, right,
Yep.
I like to do a tall, flat white with almond milk, right? And sometimes if I do one in the afternoon, I'll make it a tall blonde flat white with almond milk.
Got it. What's a flat? I don't know what a flat white is.
So it's like, oh my God, there's going to be like Starbucks baristas out there. I think it's like a double shot of espresso. It's like double the caffeine than like
Oh,
a
okay.
regular like over pour.
Oh, okay.
I
I
should
didn't know
ask
that.
my husband. He used to be a barista back in the day.
I didn't know. I never heard of flat. That's why I never heard.
Three. I'm okay. And a tall. I think it's two in a tall and three in a grande. Don't quote me. Check the website.
All right, I'll check.
Starbucks
I'm gonna
behind.
check that. Yeah, yeah. I mean, most people don't drink lattes. When I go out, if I do go to Starbucks, I get a soy latte, and you don't need any sugar or anything in it. It tastes good on its own. So,
Well, back in the day, Jonathan, when I was in law school, right, way up in Dayton, Ohio, it would be snowing. And, you'd have to like look for a place to park on campus, anywhere on campus, and you would have this wicked heavy backpack because back then you had to carry printed books.
right.
I don't know if that's the case now. I'm not in law school now. It was a long time ago, but back then I'm trudging up a hill in the snow with at least 20 pounds of books on my back every day. When I got to the law school, I was frozen solid. I would immediately go down into the basement where there was an automatic coffee machine. And I never drank coffee before law school, but I was so cold that I would get like the little cappuccino out of the machine, which was like full of milk and sugar. It was
Oh yeah.
terrible for me, but it would warm me up. And thus began my relationship with coffee.
You know what? I think a lot of people get started from those circumstantial events, right? I mean, same with me. But by the way, my daughter is she's a college student, and I think she still carries like a really heavy backpack of books.
Oh,
So yeah, I think she likes that, doing that.
yeah, you got to feel the weight of it,
Feel the
right?
weight of the burden of
It's
college.
metaphorical and also real.
You got it. I do not miss those days of doing that, so I'm happy to be in a digital world.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So, well, listen, tell us about the type of law you practice.
So nowadays, I am focused almost exclusively on emerging tech companies in the blockchain and financial technology space. So I do a lot of crypto work. And then, I also represent several companies in the alternative energy space. Generally, folks that are, coming out with inventing some new product or service. Oftentimes, it'll involve an element of intellectual property, whether it's a patent or trade secret information that they're looking to monetize, in a variety of ways.
Excellent. So cutting edge stuff. That's all good stuff. So, like, give me like for the crypto stuff. Are you talking about like getting licensed, regulations? What kind of work?
Yeah, so I do a lot of work with folks anywhere along their development state path, like from idea all the way through exit, through eventual merger and acquisition. And this is because early on, I was in-house counsel to a series of startup companies that developed proprietary patent portfolios for video network operations and managed network services. And we would license those patent portfolios to Fortune 500 companies. Then, the Fortune 500 company would like acquire a majority of the patent portfolio, and that would be kind of like the exit for the investors. We'd take the residual patents and do it over again. And then, about 7 years ago, I was accidentally orange pilled and I tripped and fell down the blockchain rabbit hole. And as I like to describe it, it's nobody gave me a ladder, so I live here now. and I get all kind of manner of clients, right? And who are eating around the cookie of cryptocurrencies, right? So like I'll work with BTMs, which are Bitcoin ATM, distributor or operators or host, right? In that space, I work with tokenization of like securities. There's security tokens, there's non-fungible tokens. I
Yep.
work with marketplace developers that develop out the IT infrastructure for tokenization of digital assets and things like that. Cryptocurrency issuers, cryptocurrency staking, lending, money transmitters, and the whole regulatory framework for all of that, in digital securities as well, like security token offerings, for example.
Okay. So what's your view on all this? I mean, where's it going?
Ooh, well, it's really interesting. I see exactly where it's going. It is the tokenization of everything.
Everything.
Everything is going to have some sort of digital stamp on it.
Yep.
So that when you take your phone and you read the digital stamp, that it is going to pop you out somewhere on the internet to some sort of certificate of authenticity or some sort of chain of custody information about that item will appear. Basically, all of the historical salient information about whatever that physical asset is going to be available for you through that digital token that will operate similar to what like a QR code does now. You go to a restaurant now, you have to take your phone because you have to use it for the QR code so you can get to the menu. It's
Right.
going to be like that, but for everything.
I mean, I think it's great because I mean that's the whole NFT thing, right? So you can really lock down the ownership and the identity of any asset, right?
Absolutely.
So it's great. I think it's great.
There's some real use cases for it. There
Oh, yeah.
really are. That makes an awful lot of sense. I mean, when I was first dipping my toe into this, I really, well, the easiest way for me to wrap my head around the possibilities and to help me understand kind of like, oh, well, there really is like a determined future and we really are headed in this direction and there really is no way to avoid it, was with property titles, right?
Right.
So anybody who has ever tried to lease anything, anyone who's ever tried to purchase a property knows what a headache it is. It's just a freaking nightmare and it's a mountain of paperwork and it takes forever. And you know what? I mean, really, only the real estate lawyers can figure it out. I mean, even if you don't practice real estate law, it's a nightmare to understand the difference between like the property appraiser and the tax appraiser and where are the property deeds and how does this work and why do I need title insurance and why does my mortgage company like require me to do all of these things and so when every single piece of property in this, I think it's 3001 counties in America,
Mm-hmm.
right? When they apply this system for data management and they tokenize each title to each parcel of property in America, then that title will be authenticated for its entire chain of custody. And so what that does is just with a click of a button, you can be completely and entirely assured of the history of that title and that there is no human error and that the information is secure. And so you're not going to need title companies. You're not going to need title insurance. Think about how this is going to eliminate a lot of those cloudy title litigation matters and so on and so forth. And it's just going to automate a great deal of that process that we're currently trudging through.
Yeah, the whole title insurance thing is annoying. Running down the title. I mean, you're right. I mean, you eliminate all that.
You can.
right?
You
Yeah.
can. And so the barrier to why we haven't done this already is I think that there is an understandable lack of familiarity with the technology, right?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah,
I
yeah.
totally get why people are confused. I mean, this is quite the leap to make. And just simply understanding what the heck are you even talking about and how does this even work, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
obstacle number one. Eventually that will come because eventually, we did learn how to operate the internet and email. I lived through that transition, so I know we'll get there. And then second of all, you need the funds to be able to accomplish this data migration, right? That we need to do, right? So it's an infrastructure build out, right? A
Yep, yep.
network infrastructure build out, and then a data management system. And we'll need to migrate from our current system to a new system. I eventually see, equipment wears out all the time. Networks are upgraded all the time. As each county has to eventually grapple with the inevitable network upgrade, the inevitable, data management system migration, this will occur naturally.
Yeah, interesting. Well, you know what? I think maybe by design it's very opaque and hard to understand, but conceptually it's really not that hard to understand,
Conceptually, if you've got
right?
the right person to explain it, yeah. I mean, there's just this huge misunderstanding because the second the word blockchain comes out of your mouth, right, all of
Yeah,
a sudden everybody says, oh, cryptocurrency. And then they immediately, come to the conclusion of scam.
right.
And I get it, right? I understand why there's a problematic association among those words when the reality is that crypto operates on a blockchain network much like an application works on your cell phone,
Yeah,
and
sure,
we
sure.
all know that some of the apps that we download can have malware, can be scammy, can create problems, but that doesn't mean your phone is a scam.
Right.
And the same can be said about some of these blockchain applications like cryptocurrency versus a blockchain as an infrastructure service.
Yeah, anyway, without going too far down the rabbit hole, we need the blockchain for dummies book, right?
I'm
And
sure there's one out there somewhere.
there's got to be one. I'm going to go to Barnes and Noble and buy it this weekend.
Did we still have Barnes and Noble? Is
They
that
do. In fact, I can't believe I just did it, but I just renewed my membership to it. I know I got taken I shouldn't have done it because I was with my daughter. We were buying a bunch of books and said, "You're a member." I said, "No." You want to do it? And I
discount?
just did it.
Good for you, though. I haven't been to a bookstore in ages, and I used to love them.
I like bookstores. I like to go to them. So
Yeah,
anyway,
love it.
so listen. So again, I'm going to interrupt this again, but tell me about how you got started. Like walk me through the journey of you becoming a lawyer. Like how did that happen? Why did it happen?
Oh, well, I was a single teenage mom.
Okay.
and so I had my son
Okay.
when I was pregnant at 18,
Wow.
and I had my son, and I went through undergrad, and I got this great degree that was supposed to guarantee me, like, a livable wage and everything, and it didn't. So I was kind of on the cusp there of
Yep.
that transition to when, remember back in the day when as long as you had a 4-year degree, you were good to go. And then all of a sudden it was like, wait, no, it matters what your 4-year degree is in.
Hmm.
And so nobody told me that anything at all, actually. When I look back, I'm like, my God, nobody just told me anything at all. And and so then my decision to go to law school was very strategic because I was like, well, God, I really screwed that up. Let's figure out what I got wrong, figure out how we can do it better. And I chose the practice of law because I literally said out loud, if all else fails, I could always practice law. I actually was under the impression that lawyers would be by default, financially successful, independent, that it would provide me with a modicum of flexibility, as a single mom to take care of my son and kind of do the things that I needed to do. I had no idea what I was getting into. And that is how the decision to go to law school is made. And when I figured it out, um, about the end of the first year of law school, you're already 30,000 in, and there was no coming out of that because I already knew if I left, then I would have 30,000 in debt and a useless 4-year degree.
Right.
I had already been there without the debt. So I was like worse off, and I was like, oh my God, I'm in it now. So I committed. That's what happened.
That's very funny. No, well, listen, I mean, the world has definitely changed in so many ways, but I mean, Wall Street used to say, you had to have an MBA, you had to come from like some Ivy League school to work on Wall Street, but even they changed their stripes. So people that were smart and had a liberal arts degree can work on Wall Street these days, and they just train them. So, it's kind of going the other direction now. It's they don't look for like these pure credentials anymore. In fact, credentials, I think, in many ways are going away. It's competency based,
I
right?
hope so.
I
I
think
hope
it is.
credentials are going away because even when I applied to law school, I applied to a couple of local schools, right?
Yeah.
And I got into both. And I went and I asked an IP lawyer who I knew, and I said, "Does it matter?" Because one school was like I could literally see the daycare from the law school, and it
Mm.
was like a 30-minute drive from my mom and dad, from my sister and my brother, right? And that was important to kind of have that family network support. But it came a little bit lower in the rankings. And the other school I got into was actually a top 50 school, but I would have been very far from my
Yeah.
child, and I would have been 2 hours from my family.
Mm.
And that IP lawyer, and I'm sure he told me what he believed to be the truth back then, which was it really only matters where you graduate from for the first, couple of years, and then people care more about what have you done lately. But I have to tell you, I just had my 20-year anniversary on Wednesday, and for the entirety of these 2 decades,
Yeah.
what every big law firm, the first question out of their mouth, regardless of my experience, was, "Where did you go to law school?"
Where'd you go to law school? Yeah.
Yep, it mattered, and I believe it still matters. I mean, I haven't looked or had that discussion in, gosh, probably at least a decade.
And
Um,
what's your answer to that? And how does that conversation go?
well, um, it didn't go well ever. It didn't go well ever,
Are you
and
talking about like you're looking for a job at one of these big law firms?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, I see.
I was looking when I would look because what would happen was, I was in-house counsel, we would sell the patent portfolio, and there would be a time when I was unemployed before the next startup got traction and I would go back in-house. And so I would kind of go around on these interviews, and it was interesting, right? Because the first question was, where did you go to law school? And then when I would answer them, and you could hear a pin drop, and
But
I'm
what
like,
would your answer be? You would just tell them I went to.
I went to the University of Dayton School of
Is
Law.
is that how you would answer the question?
Yes, yeah, because you would have to share it anyway. I mean, they actually check to make
No,
sure
no,
that,
no, no. There's nothing wrong with saying what you did,
yeah.
but I would actually answer the question differently. And I wouldn't answer the question. I would ask a question to ask why they want to know that.
Well, I knew why they wanted to know
No,
it.
I understand, but I would force that government. I would force that discussion.
They're
Curious, why do you want to know the answer to that question?
Every single conversation I've had with these folks, they're very straightforward with me, and they tell me that I didn't meet the pedigree requirements.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I
And
thought a lot of that stuff went away. I mean, that's unfortunate.
it is, right? And so blockchain though helped me a great deal to recover that because I actually, in the last few years, in the last 5 years or so of my practice, I took several courses in blockchain strategies and financial technology at the University of Oxford Said Business School
Ooh, that's
in
fancy.
England.
That's very fancy.
And now I'm actually an alumna. I have a card to prove it.
Wow. So now you're proud to answer that question.
And so it's funny because the reaction I get now is
Very
very
different.
yes.
It is very funny. I always get a chuckle out of that.
I'm the same person.
Of course. Well, it's
I'm
funny.
still practicing the same way. It's amazing to me. And so I think that these are obstacles that younger lawyers, new
Well,
law
it's
school.
good for the audience. Yeah. So to hear
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
And I tell, like people will ask me, a lot of folks ask me, right? Because they're aspiring, they're really excited about innovative tech. The kids are the ones that are in college and they're thinking about going to law school, or maybe they're in law school now and they're like, hey, I'm really interested in this. How can I get involved in this? And what is your advice for me about law school currently or law school into the future? And I make sure to tell them that I just want them to be able to make an informed choice.
Right.
And if they just know going in what the industry is like, what the expectations are, and it's within their power to make that decision for themselves. That's what I care about.
Right. So, all right. So now you have a fancy credential. That's good. So you've eliminated all those obstacles. That's very funny.
It was
So
hard and very expensive.
yeah. Wait, so how long? I'm curious actually, because how long was that program to do that? And you did it all remotely, I assume, right?
No, I had to go over there as
Oh,
well.
really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I had to go over there and spend 40 hours on campus.
Wow. That must have
Yeah,
been cool.
yeah.
Did
And
you
it
enjoy
was
that?
Oh my God, it was really crazy. I have to tell you, it was the most life-changing educational experience. And that's saying a lot, right? Because us lawyers, we go through 7 years.
Oh, yeah.
And so we definitely know what higher education and academia is like here in the US. And when I was over at Oxford, it was just they do everything different. And I have
Mm,
to tell you, my opinion is it is way better by leaps
really?
and bounds than the education that we have here in the US. And
Really?
it's possible that Harvard and Yale, that it's possible that they may implement the similar proctor system and the similar teaching system. I don't know if they do. I question if they do, right? Because I know that Harvard was developed from Oxford, right? I was taught that while I was at Oxford,
Yeah.
and so I'm like, oh well, maybe they do implement something similar, but the educational process and the learning process was so starkly different and enveloping and encompassing that you really are critically thinking your way through the class, through the materials. You're engaging. I was the only American there,
Hmm.
which phenomenal. And I got to meet all these people from all over the world and in countries where I've never met a person from before, and team build with them and work through these group projects with them, and to hear their experience and to learn from them. There was this one woman that I worked with on a project who was great in finance, and on the team, everything this woman said elicited some sort of like anger response for me. It would trigger me. Everything this woman said, because she was right and it was hard. And I was no good at that. And I told her, I was like, Brooke, I said, I have to really apologize. I wear my emotions on my face. I'm concerned that you might see hostility on my face. And I just want to tell you, I'm so grateful to you for stretching me, but it's really painful. So, whatever my face is making, ignore that and keep pushing me because you're good for me. And it was just such this, and now I can do unit economics in my sleep. So yay for Brooke. What?
What was so? That's amazing. What was so different about the style of teaching, though? That's hard to understand because
Right.
because the U.S. is still considered kind of the benchmark for higher ed? Because to get a master's or PhD.
So what's crazy about it is they implement a proctor system over there. So there is a teaching staff
Okay.
in the course, like in the classroom with
Hmm.
everyone. And so, gosh, I don't remember how many, maybe it's like 6 or 8 students per proctor, and they come and they sit with you. So it's like the teacher, they kind of start off and they lead you in through the discussion, and it's all very guided. And let's talk about this, and it's deeply participatory. And then you break into smaller groups and you work through the exercises, and the proctor is sitting right there and asking, right, these critical open questions, and then like pulling it out. It's almost like a secret Socratic method of teaching, because you don't necessarily know that they're doing the whole Socratic thing unless you've been to an American law school. Then
Right.
you're like, you're Socratic methoding me. But
It's the flip classroom. They're trying to do that here. You flip it. So instead of just a lecture and you have to absorb it, it's the other direction.
it's the other
Interactive.
direction.
Yeah.
And they make, oh yes, and they make the students teach.
Yeah.
The students have to teach the other students, and so on and so forth. And it's just
That's
it.
very cool. Yeah.
And
That's
I
the way it
came
should be.
out like it's in me, right? Like everything that everybody said, every exercise, everything that every professor or proctor said, it's like now part of my permanent DNA. It's like in my RAM. It's
Hmm.
amazing.
So how many kids do you have now?
I have 2.
Would you send them to school in the UK?
Oh, in a heartbeat, in an instant.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I highly recommend it.
Yeah. It's funny. My son actually suggested that going to school in the UK. So you gave me more things to think about there.
How old's your son?
Well, he started at Drexel. He didn't last. He came
Mhm.
home. He's doing community college until he figures out his next move. And but he'll be 19 in a couple weeks.
Oh, he's young.
Yeah.
He went through high school with the pandemic and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, my daughter's 20. The pandemic hit her just at the spot where she was coming out of her senior year, going into her freshman year. They shut down the schools for her senior year. Then she was on a full scholarship to UCF, and they shut down the schools and booted them out. And then it was like torturous transition to online. And
Oh, okay. And
she
did
was
she go to
like,
UCF? Did she go to
she
UCF?
was, she was at UCF, right? But then she was like, forget this, I'm not doing it.
Oh.
And then just as she was about to get started up again, the hurricane last year just came, and she actually had to be rescued from UCF off-campus housing by the airboats. It was the National Guard had to come in on the airboats. She lost almost all of her belongings. She
Oh.
lost her vehicle. She lost everything. She had to come home with her 3 cats. It was, yeah, she's just had a real tough time of it.
Oh man. Okay. I didn't realize that. I mean, I guess Orlando did get hit from that event.
Yeah. What's your son studying now? Or is he just doing like his general education
Yeah,
courses?
kind of general stuff, but if,
Yeah.
in fact, if he was a good student, so he would have had a free ride to go to UCF too. But of course, we had to pick the expensive private school.
Well, it's tough nowadays. I think it's what you were saying. It's like, we have to be really thoughtful about what is the utility of a 4-year degree. And especially when you think about the ChatGPT 4 has been released into the public. And this is also going to eliminate a lot of my job, ChatGPT 4.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I was having this discussion. I don't think so. Do you? I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
yeah, but
I do think so. Not to be argumentative. I apologize if
no, no,
I
no.
yes,
Okay.
it came off as argumentative. It was just really enthusiastic. I do believe it, and I am using it, playing around with it, learning what to do with it, and I'm like, whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah, but doesn't it just give you time to do other more critical things than come up with a document or basic research?
So here's what I think.
Yeah.
And I know about this much about the full capabilities of ChatGPT 4. All right. So
Sure.
yeah, this isn't a grain of salt. It's like take this with a tablespoon of salt. Okay. I I suspect that as these tools become more readily integrated into my clients' businesses and
Hmm.
into my own practice, into that of our colleagues, right? That's kind of how I see sort of the interconnectedness of my world where I work in my practice. I think that I will eventually have to migrate to, a few defined skill sets, which could include being an expert AI prompt person, like knowing, the question presented, like what's the right question to ask? How do
Yeah,
you
those are new jobs now, prompt engineers.
to get it to spit out the right answers,
Yep.
right? And output verification, right? Going through and independently verifying the validity of the answer generated. Client management, they're going to still talk to a human and
Hmm.
not, the AI can't do client management, that whole human interaction. Education. So there's going to have to be a lot of teaching involved on all aspects, and litigation, right? So AI is not going to be permitted to argue in court for all intents
Right,
and
right.
purposes.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, some things are going to change, but there's always a reaction to whatever happens, right? There'll be new things created, like prompt engineers, for example. I mean, that's a whole new category.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see the way it plays out.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I was on an email thread today with a colleague, and we share a client. We co-counsel a client together, and there was an issue that arose, and I got this email with an email attachment from co-counsel, and he's like, I was playing around with Chat GPT, and I asked it the question in italics, and here's the answer, but it didn't give me citations. So I asked the question again, and this time I told it to include the citations, and then you can see that output. What do you think? Right? And the first thing I did is I said, did you use ChatGPT 3 or ChatGPT 4? He just writes back ChatGPT 4, and I write back, it's likely a 90% chance of accuracy. I said, but due to the issue and my familiarity and my experience, right, just knowing this particular area of law, I read it, and I also independently verify it's a 90% chance of accuracy.
Well, 90% isn't good enough. It got to be 100%, right? So that
Well,
brings
I
up,
have to go and look, right? I have to go and look at the very specific citations, but I
right.
was looking at, just generally the general principles of law and the application and the answer that it gave in the memorandum of law. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, yeah, this is a Fourth Amendment search and seizure issue. And yeah, this is how you approach this issue,
Hmm.
and how you step through it, and so on and so forth. It was fairly comprehensive in its response. I got to tell you, I was impressed.
It is amazing. I've heard it in very different contexts too, where it's equally as impressive. So, yeah, that's where we're going.
Yeah, it is. Is this impacting your work at all?
No, not at the moment,
Okay. Okay.
but who knows? Well, listen, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. So, just sort of final thoughts that you want to leave with the audience and the best way to connect with you if they want to
Yeah.
know.
The best way to connect with me is through LinkedIn. That's kind of my social media platform. I'm
Okay.
trying to be more active on Twitter, but I'm very negligent with my Twitter account. And my Facebook and Insta account are only for my homeowners association. So don't bother contacting me there. I ignore that. So LinkedIn is really a great way to communicate with me. And my last thoughts are that we live in a really exciting and entertaining time. There's no lack of entertainment, and keep the faith, because for as much bad news and drama, I tend to see that there is opportunities in abundance.
Excellent. I like that optimistic ending. Thank you for that.
Yeah, of course.
That's good stuff. All right. So for everybody, once again, Anessa Santos, and it's IntelliLaw. How did I do?
Perfect.
Excellent. And it's good to spend time with you. This is sponsored by EmotionTrac, which is a legal tech platform. And we use AI, and it's used by litigators for mediation and trials. And we have an insights platform. So thank you, Anessa. Really fun.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jonathan.
You bet.